Hello, welcome to another sharing of knowledge and information. Here's what I'm going to cover in today's video. I'm going to share with you a spotlight on an Instagram creator. I call him a truther that is sharing a lot of good things that maybe you might want to consider, especially given the fact that it's getting sketchy out there. Sketchy fires just went down in Chile. My heart goes out to them and prayers. Um, It looks awful suspicious and awful like the other fire situation that happened last year. Again, wild times. And I guess there was another. This isn't meant to be a fear fest, by the way. I guess there was another fire recently at a chicken farm or an egg farm in Texas. I mean, I can't keep track anymore. So I'm going to share with you this truther, their Instagram, and there's a lot of good stuff there. You'll probably spend a lot of time perusing through. Again, this kind of information and knowledge is what I feel we should be teaching children. True history, the truth, right, about certain individuals and what they've done in the world. Then we're going to talk about Apeel, which is the new coating that's going on some fruits and vegetables, avocados, mangoes, cucumbers, a handful. You probably want to be aware of that. Apeel, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the fact that a lot of things are inverted in our world right now. A lot of things are flipped, right? Little teaser for that aspect is this. We teach children and individuals to ask a lot of questions. No dumb question. Now, in our world in 2024, the GOV and the powers that be say you cannot ask questions. If you do ask questions, you're going to get canceled. They're going to talk about that, how it's a major problem. We're going to talk about controlled opposition, right? We're going to talk about Lenin's quote, the best way to, deal with our opposition is to lead the opposition. We're going to talk about that. And I have some things to say about that as far as major talk show hosts on the national scene and how that goes out. And last but not least, I'm going to tell you about the Focus and Flow brand that is products and apparel for conscious creators, because in 2024, you really want to be conscious about what you're thinking, what your self-talk is, what you're focusing on, right? So that you can create heaven on earth as opposed to hell on earth. There's a lot of that going down. So let's jump in. This person, this truther that I want to share with you, his name is Brandon Kroll, Brandon, not to be confused with that Brandon. This is a different Brandon, a good Brandon. Brandon, Kroll, Krollology. And I'll put the link in the description down below here, but I'm going to direct you to his Instagram page because he's sharing so much truth. Now, I'll be honest with you. Some of it is pretty deep and pretty heavy. And depending on where you're at in your stage of awakening, I don't know where you're at because I'm not on your path. Where you're at in your stage of awakening, it may be pretty heavy for you. Where I'm at is I want to know it all. Just give it to me all. No shooter, just straight up, or no chaser, just straight up. I want to get it in. And then because I know, and maybe you know this as well, that the more I know, the safer I am. And the more I know, the safer I can help people around me be, right? If you know there's a pothole up there right around the corner, you're going to tell the person you're walking on the street with, hey, just so you know, as soon as we round this corner, there's a pothole. You don't want to step in the pothole. You might break your ankle. Knowledge is power, right? What makes the CIA, two things that makes the CIA super effective, sometimes not in a good way, effective, is they have access to a lot of intelligence, knowledge, information. And also they have a huge ass budget that you and I pay for, and that also helps them. But as far as the intelligence and the knowledge, anyone can get it now in the age of the internet. It's a couple clicks away, and I just want to let you know there's nothing stopping you from going and getting it. So some of the stuff is deep, but really profound. Let's talk about Apeel. Now, I'm going to share some high-level things with you here. I did a deep dive, a 30-minute video on my YouTube channel. There's a link in the description in my bio on Instagram talking about Apeel. It was the brainchild, potentially starter funded and or, grew out of the great minds at the World Economic Forum and Mr. Bill Philanthropist Gates. And I'm sorry, but whenever those people say, hey, we created a product for you, no more. I'm not using it. I'm done. And so I looked at the Apeel website. And by the way, I always was calling it Apeel. It's Apeel. Don't make that same mistake if you don't look like a fool. Apeel. It's a coating that they derive from plants, and all plants are safe. Let's not worry about how they process those natural things. I mean, seed oils are processed from a plant, right? All you have to do is say, hey, this is from a plant. Oh, it doesn't matter that we use petroleum products to extract the seed oils. It doesn't matter that we take it through like a 17-step process. This is why all of the fake food is way worse for the environment and the planet, because you have to put so much energy into it to get it. And the electric cars. I think electric things are just as cool as the next person. But the more I learn about how electric cars are made and the amount of fossil fuel that has to go into running those huge building size haulers and tractors to extract so much earth to get the cobalt and all of the metals and the materials out, you got to run those machines. You got to, quote unquote, do what to the earth? I'm not going to say the 4-letter word that starts with R. You got to do that to the earth and just leave big gaping holes all over the earth. You got to ship it all around the world. Oh, they're made over here. The stuff's mined over here. They're made over there. And then what do you do with them after you use them for a period of time? I'm sure there is enormous amount of energy required to dismantle and deconstruct those batteries to put them back into a recycled. I have no idea. But when you look at the life cycle cost from a carbon or from an energy standpoint, it's wildly off the charts. That same kind of process is going into the Apeel. Look at the process they use in order to make a natural ingredient that won't harm you and put it on the coat of these fruits and vegetables so they can ship them all over the world. And I will say this, it's not lost on me that is important. If you're looking at it from a standpoint of an inverted world that we live in, no one's asking the question, or very few people are asking the question, certainly not people with a large platform and a large microphone, of should we be shipping this stuff all around the world? Is that a smart use of energy? And is it maintaining the biodiversity of our planet? Vandana Shiva talks about this monocropping they do. Right? We don't care. Or putting, if chicken is their food of choice that they're going to promote and market to us, right? The global corporations. Again, I'm not knocking certain meats, but if that's the one they're going to market to us, then is it going to artificially create a bunch of people that want to go raise chickens? Same thing they do with telling farmers what crops to raise and if they want to, mess with the market and stuff like that. Same thing they did in 2020 by telling doctors what medicines they can use. When information is pushed from the GOV down, you got a shit show on your hands. And that leads me into the next. Well, I was going to talk about this, but it is related to this. Everything is flipped. What my belief is this. The best decisions are made at the smallest level. And when you're talking about human beings, I call it the psychobiodiversity of the planet. The best decisions are made when more people have a say in what goes on. Not even really a conscious say, but a body wisdom, a natural say. Like they're tuned in, people are tuned in to their intuition, plugged into the God source and the weather and the world, and they know they're in tune with the ground. They know what the ground wants to make in these areas. They know what vegetables grow well in these areas. They're not monocropping in places on the planet that they shouldn't be doing that and then shipping it all around the world. That's what happens when government gets involved. And and subsidy starts happening. This is why we've been subsidizing solar and wind for a long time. And many experts already agree. They say, hey, it'll never be there. It's never going to be there. But see, since government seems to have a knack for spending our tax dollars in the most inefficient way possible, they just can't, that's what they do. Inefficiency. It perpetuates itself. If we have decisions being made on an individual level, from an inspired place, from an intuitive place, the world's going to be better off. This is why many doctors were pushing back against the GOV, saying, hey, with all due respect, I'm seeing something different out here. And my patients are responding in a positive way to something you told me that I can't give them. That's a problem. Fortunately, people are waking up to the bullshit, because here's the thing. I would love to get your opinion on this, and let me know down below. The more heads we have together to solve a problem, the better the solution is going to be. The problem with having a few heads, meaning i.e. the GOV and who really runs them, this means who contributed the most to their campaigns. This means who gives them money in any of the avenues that they get, whether they're a senator, a representative, or a governor, or a president. This means we, the people of the planet, are susceptible to corruption and or incompetence. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in the way of, think of a time when you made a mistake, and wouldn't it have been nice if someone in your sphere would have said, hey, it looks like you're going to make a mistake right here, because have you looked at it from this angle? And they're like, oh, and you maybe said, oh, you're right, I didn't actually look at it from that angle. See, again, everything's inverted. On the individual levels, we have friends and family, and in some cases, coaches and consultants to guide us and or guides to guide us on our own individual hero journey. Help me see my blind spots. Help me change my thinking. Help me change my diet. Help me develop discipline. Help me in this way and that way and the other way. But up there, they're not doing that. They're being influenced by people who have an agenda and a purpose and a direction they want us to go clearly. And this is why things are coming to a crescendo and it's getting so weird out there, because the inversion is everyone's starting to feel the inversion. Boys telling boys they can become girls, and girls they can become boys. Promoting fake food, fake meat. I was in the fake milk cult for a long time. Started off with soy, and then I realized very quickly that soy isn't good to be eaten at that level, that much for a man especially. Then into almond milk and coconut milk and so forth. Now I'm back to regular milk and goat's milk. I went full circle because I realized after doing more research, see, there's always a number of research we can do. I've realized after doing more research that, again, it's the same thing with the fake meat and the fake food. Anytime you put a plant product through a 17-step, etc., production process, and you're introducing what I feel are non-bioavailable, non-readily absorbable vitamins and minerals into the plant milk to make it compete on the shelf marketing wise with regular milk, saying, well, we have more calcium than you now because we put calcium that may or may not be available. The body may or may not be able to assimilate into our milk, so we can claim the marketing. See, it's all about the marketing. And that's why if we have more people's heads comes together, we're going to be better off, and people operating from an intuitive place. So again, I mean, I could go on and on about this flipped thing. Not being able to ask questions, no other experts talking about the opposite of what the mainstream narrative was. That's what pissed me off. I was like, hey, okay, you've told me it's tested and approved, safe and effective 5,729 times. Got it. Does anyone else have an opinion that goes against what you say? Do we have an opposing opinion? Miraculously, there was no opposing opinions. Go figure. I'm seeing this happen on the state level too, my friends. Excuse me, at the city level too, my friends, with certain initiatives going through planning and zoning, breezing through, none of the 6 members saying anything about it, even raising a question, going through city council, all 6 city council people, yeah, it's good, ship it, we got no problems, or we've got a minor little typo here. Meanwhile, the real estate development community and speculators and national builders are, just like they're doing on the national level on all sorts of different topics, writing the bills, writing the legislation, and giving it to, civic people at the city, state, national level to promote and sponsor, and it just becomes law. This is what happened in 2013 when literal bankers, legit bankers, went to Jekyll Island and wrote the bill that would become the bill that would give the Federal Reserve the power to print money. How'd you like the power to print money? Oh yeah, that's something to put on your wish list next year for Christmas. Bankers wrote that bill. Lobbyists, special interest people, to my knowledge, write all, if not most, of the bills and give them to the representative and say, hey, pass this. Do me a solid. Remember when I donated all that money to your campaign last year? Well, payback time. Like it is not a good place to be right now in the United States when this crescendo in the world. I mean, let's be honest. We're probably better off here in the US, but this crescendo of darkness and lightness coming up, right? It's like the end of a fireworks show. It's always the big pop, 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 pop at the end of a fireworks show right before it goes out. And it feels like we're in that big time. Let me see what else I have here. Bottom line is anything the government's going to push down is going to be inverted, especially now. It probably always has been. My big awakening came in 2020, early 2022, late 2021, started when Mr. Joe Biden told me his patience, our patience is wearing thin. Yeah, that woke me up big time because I know those people and I know they don't care about me. And so for them to stand up there and say, hey, we've asked you to take the you-know-what. You didn't take the you-know-what. Now our patience is wearing thin. I was like, oh shit, a whole nother level opened up. All right, let's see here. I think that's covered that topic. So let's talk about controlled opposition. This is one of my favorite topics of late because I don't know about you, but my understanding and insight and view of the world is changing very, very rapidly. As you probably saw, I've been posting some stuff about Donald Trump and a lot of stuff about Israel. So let's start with Donald Trump. I voted for the guy. I liked him because he wasn't a career politician. And then over the last few weeks or months, I'm starting to think to myself, well, is it possible that a champion for the people that cares about, the quote unquote common people, the good people of this nation, got through the gatekeepers of the people who we know really run the world, which is private central bankers? I mean, we're talking trillions of dollars, more money and gold. And gold, let's not forget the gold stores, more money and gold than most people could even fathom, right? That's what they have. That's why they have the influence they have, right? This world financially enslaves people. It exploits people financially and then makes them do things they probably wouldn't normally do if it wasn't that way. So financiers run the world, and it's a pyramid shape, and they exert control down. So I started asking myself, is it possible that Trump's really on our side? And I was like, well, probably not. Like, how do you get to that level? The most quote unquote important job in America, and be for the people. You have to work for the people that put you in office. And remember, the pharmaceutical industry, I think it was Pfizer, gave Trump $1 million. And lo and behold, right after they gave him that money, he had already tasked Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to head up a vaccine task force to look into the safety and efficacy. And who wouldn't want that? I would think even the most liberal leftist person would say, yeah, let's put some more eyes on that. Back to my point earlier, the more heads you have come together, the better product you're going to get, especially complex product. And then maybe hopefully someone even says, hey, should we even be making this? Should we even be doing this? Back to the fruits and vegetable thing. Should we be growing bananas in South America and shipping them up to the US? Is that right from um, a fruit standpoint, from a food standpoint? We know it's not, because if the plant isn't growing in your backyard or in your area, you probably shouldn't be eating a lot of it. But this is what happens with the inversion. Hey, or Las Vegas, that area is not inhabitable without mankind. And I'm also not knocking man's ingenuity. Let me be clear. But also as our consciousness evolves and we go to higher levels of understanding and awareness, we're going to look at places that are inverted, that aren't in harmony with nature, and say, hey, that was from our past. We did that. Should we keep doing it? Should we keep sending water from northwestern states and giving it to a dry, arid place so they can water lawns that aren't in harmony with that area? Yeah, these are questions humanity is going to have to answer for themselves, come together collectively. But, I'm trying to think where I was at with this Trump thing. It'll come back to me. Let me go on to this other idea of Lenin's quote. So Lenin said, if we know we're going to have opposition, let's lead that opposition, right? Let's lead it. And well, I was talking about my level of awareness, opening up and seeing different things with Trump, but I'm also seeing it with radio talk show hosts, with quote unquote people in the public eye, influential people in the public eye. I'm not going to name names, you know who I'm talking about. But my point is this: there seems to be a lot of talking going on about the problems in our country, but not a lot of, let me phrase this properly. Not a lot of positive action in that direction. For instance, the national debt's not coming down. For instance, we're not gaining more freedoms in America. We're losing more freedoms. The noose is constantly getting tighter and tighter, especially when you're talking about 2A, especially there. More laws and more regulations is never good for a society, ever, ever, ever. Because again, it bogs down the natural creativity of human beings. This is why America, the book, The 5,000-Year Leap. This is why America took a 5,000-year leap, because we were unshackled and human beings could do what human beings do, express and create and solve problems. There was no restrictions from the federal government. They weren't looking down at you saying, hey, I'm going to tax you there. I'm going to tax you there. I'm going to tax you there. I mean, if you have a small business, you know how much trouble it is to get all your paperwork in order, all your taxes in order. There's a new tax form you've got to file now in 2024, to my understanding, that gives the government more information. More information. This is what's so crazy about these last number of years. Everyone knows government is a total shit show. They hate going to the DMV. They hate calling the tax commission and waiting on the phone and hoping and praying that you're going to get a kind, helpful person to help you. Everyone's interaction with the government is total shit show. We go into Afghanistan for 20 years, lose thousands of American soldiers, spend billions of dollars in our tax dollars, and then we leave and give it to the same people we were fighting for 20 years. My biggest beef about the Afghanistan situation, in addition to the loss of life and the extraction of tax dollars from the American people into the hands of the very few defense contractors, my biggest problem with Afghanistan, I don't know why this is, it's just a beef of mine. Like, it just irks me to no end, is how our military was tasked. And again, they're just doing the bidding for these bankers and people who pull the strings. Our military was tasked all throughout that time with going into Afghanistan and getting buy-in from Afghani people. We've got your back. We care about you. We're going to be here. We're supporting you. That was their job, in order to get the Afghani people to help them get the bad guys. That's a shitty thing to do. And no wonder America has a shitty reputation in the world. And unfortunately, even though I wasn't really fully aware of that was going on all the time, but it's on me. That's partially my fault because I'm an American, right? Um, it's embarrassing right now in the world because I think America, because we're not the land of freedom and democracy anymore. We're not the good guys anymore. I don't know, maybe we never were. I think America is causing a lot of pain and suffering in the world under the guise of, oh, defending ourselves, or, oh, democracy. When what it really is enforcing the US dollar, right? Enforcing the petrodollar to these countries all around the world. We have a military that says, yeah, you'll do what we ask you to do or else. And you've probably seen the videos. They have levels of influence they can exert upon a leader in a country, starting with a phone call from the press saying, hey, stop empowering your people. Stop trying to empower yourself. Stay under our thumb, or we'll escalate the situation. And then they send in who, boots on the ground, to try to covertly change the situation. If that doesn't work, they send in the military. And we've seen it over and over in the last 3 or 4 decades. And so it does perplex me how some people still seem to be trusting of the government. And the only explanation I can give to that is they're still under the mindset, and like their intuition and consciousness is still cloaked to such a degree that they look to the government for authority and hey, tell me what to do and tell me what to think. Earl Nightingale said it. Thinking is the hardest thing in the world. Uses an enormous amount of brain power. And if you're not taught how to think, or you don't learn it on your own, you might never learn how to think, right? One of the major tenets of life, one of the major life lessons is in this life, can you wake up? Can you gain enlightenment? Can you see the world for what it really is? That's a goal of life. And why do you think it's so hard? Because everything in this world wants to shut down consciousness and to detach human beings from their intuition. This is why we put children into the system, the public education system. We want to get children as far away from who they really are, the connection to God and to their intuition and the Holy Spirit inside. The system doesn't want awakened people, because awakened people threaten the people who run the system. Why else would you take a child and put him into a government-sponsored indoctrination program under the auspices of, we're going to educate your kid? Again, back to the idea of what the government does is, anything is free, probably not worth a whole lot, right? What's free when you go to a trade fair, right? Pens with Bob Smith's name on it, that's free. Notepads that have shitty sticky on the back and shitty screen printing on them, that's free. All the stuff that you go home and try to find a use for and pretty soon just throw it in the garbage. It's garbage. Free things are generally not worth very much. Not to mention the fact that our federal government came on the scene miraculously one day after screwing us over for decades, financially, educationally, with the food industry, you name all the topics, and said, we really care about you now. All that other stuff, they didn't say the now part, but so that's what I heard. We care about you now. All that other stuff we've been doing to you for decades, taking your tax dollars and giving it to our friends on Wall Street twice in my lifetime. All those other things we've been doing, we've been printing money, devaluing the money in your pocket, making it harder for you to live. All those things we've been doing, which is basically theft. It's robbery of money in your pocket. All those things, we now care about your health so much that we're going to mandate this to you. You have to take it. We love you so much. You have to take it. You can't make this level of absurdity up. And now I'd be super pissed if I bought their little dog and pony show 3 years ago, and now they seem to be distant to me. And I don't even pay attention to them anymore. They're distant to me. I can't imagine how distant they are to someone who believed them when they said, we care about your health and wellness so much, and we've got something that's tested and approved, safe and effective. And now government's on to they're 3 and 4 things down the line. We've had Ukraine, we've had Israel, we're now moving into Iran. I mean, they're moving down the line and they're continuing to print money. It's like whenever they come to you and say, "Hey, we need you. We need you." You got to be skeptical because they don't need us for anything. They take our money and do whatever they want with it. That's all they want from us is our money. They don't want our input. They want us to sit down, shut up, and be quiet. And the reason I know this is because the people who run them give us so much bread and circuses that it's easy to sit down, shut up, and be quiet. It's easy because all the food that comes from the fast food places and the pizza places is all engineered to taste really, really good. Flavor enhancers, excitotoxins, addictive ingredients. Why do you think Domino's tastes so good? It's engineered in a kitchen to taste that way. All those ingredients that are on there make you addicted to it and make it taste better than it really is. So the people who really run our world, they just shovel in the bread and circuses, and we have the biggest bread and circus coming up this Saturday. I'm not watching it this year, the first time ever, and I do like watching the commercials, but I'm not playing. I'm done. I'm done because it's so disgusting to me. Anything coming out of Hollywood, anything coming on the mainstream music scene. All the celebrities are super sketch to me now because, again, people that didn't know. Okay, celebrities were, again, like the government, they were so kind and benevolent to roll up their sleeves and show everyone and influence people in some cases to go get the you know what. It's weird. It's weird. Again, back to this inversion thing. In the private world, on an individual level, if someone cares more about what you're doing than you do, there's something wrong with that other person. No one should be more invested in another person's journey than themselves. And if they are, it's red flag. And again, I'm speaking from my own experience because sometimes I get really invested in the journey of my fellow human beings. And I'm like, please wake up. Please do that research. Before you listen to these people, go check out this website and that website and go pick up The Great Awakening, greatawakeningguide.com. Watch these documentaries. Watch Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. Watch All Wars Are Bankers' Wars on YouTube. Sometimes I catch myself and I'm like, Mark, that's not your business. You're getting a little bit out of your lane. They are their own journey. These are people and friends and family that I love and respect, and they're on their own journey. Leave them alone. Stop. Live your own life. And this is where our power really comes from, when we just pull it all back in and go, you know what? I'm going to be me. I'm going to do me. And I'm going to follow my intuition. I'm going to share what needs to be shared, create what I'm inspired to create, be the change I want to see in the world, and stop trying to change other people. And again, I struggle with this a lot. When a celebrity or the government does that, again, huge red flag, because you got to ask yourself, why do you care more about what I do than I do? Knowing that a human being's journey through this life is an individual journey, and knowing that, as the Buddha said, the fruit's going to drop when it's ready. People are going to awaken when they're ready. And this is, again, my lesson, especially lately in the last week or two. Because I think back and I realize, no one could have really forced my awakening. It had to happen in the way that it happened. Biden had to say, I certain things that I don't share happened to me over the last 3 years, happened to people in my life that facilitated my awakening in quantum leaps. Maybe you can understand what I'm talking about. But that happened because as you look back, as we're all awakening on this journey, and it is a continual flowering in the way I look at it, the model that I look at it, a continual flowering. And I do mean continual. I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where, I'm awake, I'm good, I can tap out now. I don't think that ever happens. But as I look back on my own journey of awakening, because they went so hard in the paint in 2020 and 2021, it was a huge oh shit. Because we're all kind of, what do they call it? Zombie walking through life. That's the wrong term. And we are in a hypnotic state, again, challenging ourselves to wake up to what's really going on. And we get it, the brain wants to continually put us on autopilot. The more autopilot our body can go on to conserve energy. It's all about that conservation of energy. And keeping us safe, keeping the ego safe. So the brain is putting us on autopilot. If something so abrupt happens, like COVID, it's a double-sided coin. On one hand, it's a super bad thing that happened, but it's also a super blessing because it wakes a lot of people up. Excuse me. And how many times does that happen in a person's life? This is why many people saw the last 3 years as an incredible opportunity, not only for self-growth and getting out of our comfort zone, but also for financial gain or opportunity gain, right? In times of crisis, there's also great opportunity. This is why many businesses were started in the Great Depression. When your back's against the wall and you got no choice, you have to go in. You have to go in, which is why I started making live videos. I was like, I'm not going to sit on the sidelines and watch the world that I live in, that I have a vested interest in, go down the drain without at least expressing myself in the way that I want to. And sharing unrestricted, uncensored. There's enough censoring going on in our world, sharing uncensored what's on my heart, what I'm seeing. And probably you're doing it too. You become a lot more bold in the world when shit starts to really get real in the world, right? When wars start popping off, when the thing that really pushed me into the game was when they were going to fine people in Austria $4,000 plus because if they didn't get the thing. Like, get the thing or we fine you. They were putting people in COVID camps in Australia. Yeah, you didn't get the thing, go in this camp for 2 weeks. No, I'm sorry, no. That's where I draw the line. You go in the camp for 2 weeks. I'm not going into camp. And it's bad enough traveling around in the United States, going through the bullshit at the airport. Take your shoes off, unpack your bag, take your coat off, go in this thing. What goes on in the thing, it doesn't matter. What kind of raise are we getting in the thing? It doesn't matter. Just go in the thing. I'm over it. Like, they've gone too far. And I didn't realize it until COVID times. I was like, now I look around and like, it's all too far. The food, most of the food is garbage. The entertainment, quote unquote, entertainment is complete propaganda. I can't even watch it anymore. It's like nails on a chalkboard. I can't watch it. I can't listen to it. I just drive around in silence all day. I mean, commercials constantly being advertised to. Again, sometimes businesses are good, but again, there's great, what's the word that I'm thinking of? There's great benefit from quieting the mind and going within and just sitting in silence and getting in tune. I can't imagine going through the last 3 years without having meditation as a practice. I can't even fathom it. Or walking in nature. I know a lot of people probably walked in nature, or having friends you can talk to, because in many cases you can't talk to members of your own family because, remember, we're on different levels of the journey, and it's not a I'm better than you thing. It's a I'm in a different headspace than you. Life is like this organic growth opportunity, and different people grow in different ways. Again, back to the notion, the fruit's going to fall when it's ready. This is why I have to be very conscious of not getting frustrated with people that are doing something that I already have figured out isn't a smart thing to do, because there's things that I'm doing that they've already figured out isn't a smart thing to do, or that I have done in the past. So it's like, there's this huge growth opportunity, right? We're being shaken so much that we're waking up is a blessing and a curse. I sometimes miss those days of ignorant bliss when you're like, what movie am I going to watch? What am I going to eat for dinner? Just the most simplest things, and totally unaware of all of the heinous shit that has been going on for decades, at least that I'm aware of, and really over a century. The manipulation, the lying, the deceit, the infiltration of our GOV by corporations and individuals with a lot of money that say, hey, I've got a couple $1 million. Do you know anyone who wants it? Do you know anyone who wants this as a campaign donation? Wild times. Okay, let me see if I've covered everything here. I think that's what I want to share. Um, I will close this controlled opposition thing with this. Be wary of the people that are talking on a national level, talk show hosts, and how they're constantly keeping you right at the edge. Well, let me rephrase it. I'm going to back that out. Be wary of people trying to influence you outside of yourself. If we know that and I do believe there is controlled opposition going on, 100%, 100%. I think it's high level. I think it's very difficult to distinguish. I think these people are masters, not the high level opposition. Well, if you're a talk show host, you're a master at weaving words. That's a given. But at the people who run them, right? The people who run our politicians, the people who run our media companies, the people who run our magazines, run the mainstream entertainment, we see what they want us to see. They put people in front of us who they want us to look at. My point is this: don't put so much, ideally, if you can pull it all back, don't put so much of your energy or time into listening to these talk show hosts from either side, the right or the left. And if you do, maybe listen to them from a standpoint of what can they teach me, as opposed to how could they influence me? Or is me listening to them talk giving me the dopamine hit that says, yeah, I'm doing my work as a human being, as an American, standing up to tyranny and oppression? Because it does that for me. It does that for me when I listen to someone saying important information, positive things. I get a dopamine hit that gives me the oh, I'm a good American. I'm really in the fight when I'm not in the fight at all. And a lot of times what those people say is it keeps us on the hamster wheel. Oh, we found another problem and more problem. And it keeps us on a hamster wheel of perpetual, we got a lot of problems, but we're not doing a lot of execution, or we don't have a lot of activity going. This is why one of the things that the Buddha said is life is like being shot with an arrow. We get shot with an arrow, and the human mind is want to find out who shot the arrow, why'd they shoot it, what is it, blah, 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 instead of just pulling the arrow out. We dance around the problem because it's so much easier to dance around the problem than to just dive in. This is why Steve Harvey also talks about jumping. If you have something that you're meant to do in this world, if you're like me, you're going to stand at the edge of the diving board for a really long time. And the longer you stand there, the harder it's going to get to jump and dive. That's why he says you just got to jump. Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. The sooner you do it, the better. The sooner we unplug from being influenced by radio personalities or politicians. Again, politicians, we send them back there thinking they're going to fight our fight. They're not fighting our fight. They're not working for us. Not telling you to do anything crazy, but just realize that the people we think are helping solve the problems, the talk show hosts, the influencers, the celebrities, the representatives, the government, they're clearly not solving the problem. It's clearly getting worse, but because they're so good at spinning it, it keeps us right on the edge of our seat. Oh, the problem's going to be solved. Oh, this election. Oh, next election. Oh, no, the next election. Oh, I need 4 more years. Oh, I need to stop. Stop. We get it. You're on a hamster wheel. So my inspiration for you, which is what I'm doing too, is to be more influenced by yourself. If you feel so inclined to turn off the talk radio from either side, sit in silence. I think that is hugely beneficial. Affects the field of coherence in the area. Maybe gives you the ability to plug into your own intuition, and how we can't have too much of that, because our intuition is guiding us through life and telling us where to go and what to do, and what projects to pursue and what work to pursue that is going to be not only best for us, but also best for other people and the planet. So I'm inviting you to do that if you're so inclined. That's my goal moving forward, is to be more in tune with myself and less influenced by people. Also, I get riled up. I hear news stories that are sad, and it makes me mad, and I want to do something about it. I have to come back to my center and be like, what really is the best thing you can do for those people there? What's the best thing? What's the what's the best way you can serve other people in humanity? That's the question. To that point, let me share with you some mugs from the Focus and Flow store. Focus and Flow is my product and apparel line for conscious creators. You are a creator. The question is, are you creating from an unconscious place or a conscious place? Back to what we were talking about being influenced. Are you influenced from within or are you influenced from without? Did you buy your car based on what your neighbor's car is? Or did you buy your car because you looked around at all the cars and said, I like the way that one looks? Did you pursue a career based upon what your cousin or your uncle did? Or did you pursue a career based upon what your heart was inspiring you to do, what the little voice in your consciousness was inspiring to do, what your ikigai is, right? Your reason for being, what you're good at, what the world needs, what you can be paid for. That's three. And I forget the fourth one. What your ikigai is. But Focus and Flow is about living your life from an internal focus. These are the preferred experiences mug. Let me show you the white one first. It's a full wrap preferred experiences mug, and it is all of the experiences that human beings want: health, wealth, and success, passion, purpose, and meaning, gratitude, appreciation, acceptance, peace, prosperity, and abundance, fun, freedom, and adventure, enthusiasm, excitement, zest, friendship, love, connection, awareness, understanding, enlightenment, vim, vigor, vitality, alignment, satisfaction, well being, fulfillment, contentment, empowerment, optimism, anticipation, eagerness, happiness, joy, and bliss. And it's all on the mug. So when you drink your morning beverage, it also comes in a black wrap. You drink your morning beverage, you are reminded words are very powerful, right? You're looking at it, you're like, yeah, I want the meaning, the gratitude, the abundance, and you're focusing on those things. You can get those at focusandflow.co. I'll put a link somewhere below this video. There's also shirts and sweatshirts and hats. Again, all to remind you that you're a creator. I don't have to remind you of that. The question is, what are you creating and where's your mindset at where you're creating? What are you focusing on? Are you creating from an inspired place or from an outward place? The best things are going to happen from an inspired place. This is what Justine Musk talks about when she talks about idea babies. What are your idea babies? You know, Steve Jobs' idea baby was technology and art, and he merged those things to create Apple computers, specifically talking about the calligraphy class that influenced him heavily when he went to college and studied it and was like, how can I make these fonts more beautiful? If you remember PCs at the time, the fonts were not attractive because that wasn't their idea baby. That was Steve Jobs' idea baby. So what's your idea baby? Creating from an inspired place, what you create will be unique in the marketplace. No one else will have it. No one else will have it. Let's talk about some creations. Len and Larry's cookies, no one else has. Any number of things. Keanu Reeves' motorcycle, Arc motorcycles, no one else has. Laird Hamilton's Laird Foods, no one else has, because those are his idea babies. A passion for motorcycles and a passion for, riding them is Keanu Reeves' idea baby. Him, and I think he has a partner in that business. Hugely inspiring. Steve Aoki's idea baby is creating music for the masses. Hugely inspiring. Prince's idea baby was making music in his own way. I just recently learned that he was highly productive, like just a creator machine. Not from like the innovative and the inventiveness of the music, but also the production of it, like the output that he did. He was in flow, which is what we all want to be, is in flow. Totally tapped in to who we are, what we're about, and mining all of the things that are inside of us that we can then cash in with other human beings to enrich their lives and also enrich our lives. So that's Focus and Flow. Are you focused from within or without? Again, mugs, hats, t-shirts, stickers, all sorts of things, and new things coming all the time at focusandflow.co. Thank you for listening to this video. I really appreciate you. Leave me a thumbs up if you like it. You can always subscribe on YouTube. I'd love to have you there. I will talk to you in the next one. Bye bye.